What's up, y'all? Welcome to this video. This is going to be, I guess, more random video, more like just lifestyle video, if you will. I had a client ask me this yesterday, and it just like, I don't know, it just kind of like stood out to me, this question. And she asked, "Hey, like what even got you into this? Like how are you even here? Like what got you into fitness? What got you into nutrition? What got you into coaching in general?" And so I want to give a little bit of a background story about how I found fitness slash CrossFit. And just kind of walk through that story and how I got here owning a awesome business and helping clients through nutrition and training really become healthier, happier, and live longer lives. And so anyways, let's get to the background story. So how I found CrossFit. In 2015, I saw a video. I always say a picture, but I think it was a video of Lauren Fisher doing a games athlete. If you don't know who that is, she was, in the CrossFit Games, competed as an individual for like years and years and years, right? So I saw a video of her on Instagram, and she was jacked out of her mind, right? Like she looked like a bodybuilder, but she moved like an athlete. And I saw a video, I think she was doing like butterfly chest to bar pull-ups. And I saw it and I was like, holy shit, I want to do that. Whatever that is, I want to be a part of that. And I ended up searching her, like looking at her profile, seeing that she did CrossFit, literally Googled CrossFit near me and found a CrossFit gym, showed up the next day. And long story short of it, I never looked back. Now, at the time, I was also being, an 18, 19-year-old kid. I was, smoking cigarettes. I was skipping class. I was really into skateboarding at the time. So I was skipping school to go skate with my friends. We were really into like skateboarding and longboarding. And so we would go like bring our skateboards to school, put them in our lockers, and then basically take off as soon as we could and like go skate around town. And so it was really conflicting, right? With this newfound love of CrossFit and smoking and drinking heavily. When I say drinking heavily, I used to drink like, those big like gallon jugs of vodka, like handles, like the really shitty, cheap plastic handles of vodka. I would like drink probably one of those a week, like alone in my room, like that type of thing. And of course I was partying and like doing all the other things too with, my crew of friends at the time, but I was drinking a lot on my own. When I was doing CrossFit, I was also smoking quite a bit of cigarettes every single day. So I was probably smoking anywhere from half to a full pack of cigarettes every single day while I was still living at home without my mother knowing. She ended up finding out later on. But anyways, so I was smoking, I was drinking heavily, and a lot of that, on my own. I think just trying to kind of find myself, if you are, reflecting back on your 18, 19, even young 20s, just trying to figure out where your place in the world is. And now when I look back, that's like, I guess kind of what I was going through, trying to figure out like, what am I supposed to be doing? And so that was when I found CrossFit. Now, whenever I found CrossFit, I went home and again, I was pretty young, so I was living with my mom at the time. I went home and I told my mom, I said, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. And of course, as any mother would, they're like, okay, like, sure. Like, yeah, you just tried this thing, this like workout class that she had never heard of. Like, yeah, of course you're gonna go, okay, yeah, you're gonna do this forever, whatever. And yeah, here we are, 10 years later, I'm still doing it every single day. And it's, obviously a huge passion and love in my life. And so, at the time I would go in and I would do the 6 a.m. class, and I was so obsessed with getting better at CrossFit that I would go back and do their 4:30 p.m. class to try to beat my 6 a.m. time. I was just so determined to get better. I was like obsessed with watching all of the CrossFit YouTube. I was obsessed with the CrossFit podcast. I was obsessed with all the behind the scenes stuff. I subscribed to the CrossFit Journal, if anyone knows about that back in the day. I was all in on this, and I gotta say, something felt a little weird doing Fran and leaving the gym and on the way home lighting up a cigarette. Something didn't feel right about that. So I had a decision to make. I either could continue with this newfound love of CrossFit and try to get better at it, or I could continue to hang out with my friends and smoke and drink and do all the things I knew that they were going to continue to do, right? It was kind of this fork in the road moment. And I was, again, like 18, 19 years old, very young, very impressionable. And I'm really glad that, 19-year-old Liv made the choice that I did and decided to pursue CrossFit. And when I say pursue, not like I'm going to go to the games or like that's my plan, but I just decided that I was going to lean into this newfound community. And this just new love. I just felt this like crazy drawing towards it. And I'm so freaking glad that I did. And mind you, whenever I started CrossFit, I finished the last in class for so long. I remember the first CrossFit gym I ever was a part of, pretty old school. We would write our scores up on the board. So I'm sure if you're, part of an affiliate now, maybe you're like, writing your score in, the app or SugarWOD or whatever. Back in this time period, I don't know if they still do it, but they were pretty old school, and they wrote like the coach would yell out your name after class, and you would have to say, what you got, where you go write it up on the board after class. And I remember it took me at least 6 months to write that little RX next to my score. And I would get so annoyed and discouraged, and I would see everybody else moving barbells and doing crazy stuff and muscle ups and handstand walks and all these things. Mind you, I'd never played a sport in my life. The last sport I played was like YMCA soccer when I was 5. Like, I did not grow up playing sports. I didn't play sports through, grade school, middle school, high school. I wasn't the sports girl. I was really into art, and I was really into riding skateboards. That's pretty much the most physical activity that I did until I was around that 18, 19-year-old range. And so I was very, untrained. I didn't have a lot of muscle memory. I didn't have a lot of strength. I was coming into it with, next to nothing as far as like athletic, capabilities. Like I, really didn't have a whole lot to start with. And I think some people go into CrossFit and like maybe they, ran track in high school or like had some type of background, and find it a little bit easier to get into. This was definitely not the case for me. Also, mind you, I was smoking at the time and drinking heavily. So that also did not aid in me like getting baby gains whenever I first started. But I started it. I started and I decided to make that, I guess, that clear line in the sand, right? I chose to leave my my friend group or not engage with them as much, and really lean into CrossFit and my health and getting stronger and acquiring those skills that I saw people doing in the gym, instead of letting it, deter me and say like, oh, well, they, have, all this athletic background and they've been doing this for so long. I was just determined to basically catch up, right? And stop being the last one to finish in every single class. And so I did that for like 3 or 4 years. I moved to a different city. When I moved to that different city, the new CrossFit gym owner, so this new gym, came up to me and said, hey, I think you'd like be a really great coach. And at the time, I've been doing CrossFit for 3 or 4 years, and I thought, wow, thanks. But like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be in front of people talking. I'm like relatively introverted, and yeah, a little bit dry, some might say. And so I was like, oh, I don't really know if that's like for me. And so anyways, he talked me into getting my L1, one of the best decisions I've ever made. If you haven't taken your L1, cannot recommend it enough. It was an incredible experience. The Flow Masters were like amazing. The staff was amazing. I would like do it again in a heartbeat. But took my L1 and started coaching a few CrossFit classes a week. Absolutely fell in love with it. Absolutely fell in love with coaching even more than I loved training. And at the time I was in college, I was training for like, 3 hours a day plus. I'll put a picture up here of what I looked like back then, but that was training 3 hours a day, weighing absolutely every single thing that I ate. And, I was a kid in their young 20s, just trying to figure things out and be like fit AF and just like, hang out with my new friends that were like doing CrossFit as hard as I was at the time. And so, I started coaching and I found this new love for coaching. I found this new love for like really, believing in someone even more than they do, and like being in someone's corner in such a way that like seeing that light bulb moment for them where they realize that they're capable of so much more than they thought. And that's really what got me so fired up about coaching. And so I leaned into that passion and ended up moving again to a different city where I was coaching full time. I was coaching like 5 to 6 classes every single day, and I absolutely loved it. And something that like CrossFit gave me is just that sense of community everywhere I go. Even when I travel now, I feel like when I go into a CrossFit gym, like those are my people, like I feel like I can relate to them. We have something in common already. I know that they're the type of person that wants to work hard, that wants to show up and, do burpees at 5 o'clock in the morning. If you do that, we're probably gonna get along pretty singing well. And so, that's what I did. And so at the time I had some people coming up to me really organically, like friends, family, saying like, hey, Liv, you look good and like you have abs or whatever, and are like, hey, like could you help me with my nutrition? And I was like, sure. And so I helped people for free for probably 6 months. And, help them dial in their nutrition, told them what I did, told them, eat this before you work out, eat this after you work out, really just help them everything nutrition wise, for I guess performance and aesthetics, right? Because that's the thing with CrossFitters, if we just focus on aesthetics, as far as like the nutrition aspect of things, well, your performance is probably going to dip quite a bit, right? Like if we're, I guess, looking at nutrition through the lens of something like a bodybuilder, right? Where we're training and our nutrition protocols is really just to get on stage and look peeled for, 2 minutes, 5 minutes at a time, whatever it is. And it's like, well, in CrossFit, we really need to focus on not just fueling for the aesthetic side of things, but also for our performance. Right? We're not willing to sacrifice having abs for a couple days and feeling like shit in the gym. Right? So we need to focus on both. And anyways, I help people for free for like 6 months and then kind of like, asked my friends, I was like, could you guys like pay me for this work that I'm doing? Anyway, started charging for it. It all started super organically. And then that's kind of where the business began. So about 3 years ago, in March of 2022, I actually started the LLC, started Better Version Nutrition, and started gaining clients through Instagram, people reaching out, people seeing testimonials and things like that. And now I have a team of 2 assistant coaches that are absolutely crushing it. And we have really amazing clients that we get to work with, all focusing on what I call the other 23 hours of the day that they're not in the gym doing CrossFit, right? So we really focus on the nutrition side of things, the lifestyle side of things that really helps them look as fit as they feel. And so, I usually do videos about like more tips and, really tactical things that, help people with the nutrition side of things. But today I just really wanted to make a video rambling and chatting about my story, and someone asked me that the other day. It just got me thinking. I was like, wow, I've never really made a video about like my, I guess, background in coaching and CrossFit and fitness, and kind of my journey and really what got me into coaching and into helping people and finding that passion outside of just training, and like even loving coaching more than I love the training. which has been, you know, a huge shift in the past like 5-6 years. And so, yeah, like that's kind of my background. I don't know. I hope that this resonates with some people, that like, I don't know, like it doesn't have to be this like person on the internet that you don't know that you're getting advice from. Like you can also like get to know people, I guess, relatively well with videos like this, and not, you know, all YouTube videos or just content in general needs to be like tips, like here's just, you know, 3 things that you need to build more muscle, and like all that stuff is great. But today I just really wanted to make a YouTube video about my background and yeah, kind of my journey in CrossFit, my journey in coaching, and yeah, hopefully someone gets to the end of this this ramble, probably just like my mom and my sisters. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. I will see you in the next video.